Hello and welcome. 5. Cinco. This game, as you can see by the variety of colors on the game card here, it was kind of nuts. Pretty crazy. We both played pretty terribly, and basically it came down to who was going to play less bad. We traded blunders back and forth until it settled out with me winning the game. So let's check it out. D4, D5, C4, C6. So we're just going into the Slav. And he played G6, the modern Slav. I developed my other knight, which I would do normally. He developed his bishop, and I played E3. I don't know how to play against this setup, and I don't normally, pretty much ever, take this. And often my reasoning is that I want to put my queen on C2 to help me play E4. And I guess by playing E3, I'm making E4 not such an attractive move to make. So it would rather I take. The thing is, I don't want to put my queen here just to have a wild rook appear on C8, but that's fine. Okay, I play B3 in order to get my bishop over here. Also, now I can develop this bishop without any concern, because there's not going to be any tempo loss upon D capture C4, because I'll recapture B capture C4. Okay, he develops his knight. Yeah, bishop A3 is just a much better move. It just stops him from castling, and I end up getting a massive lead in development. Castles, bishop D3. Did it say bishop D3? Okay, excellent. Knight Bd7, and queen C2 as advertised. Now at this point, when you see a phi encountered structure like this, I'm already kind of thinking about playing an H4, H5 to disrupt the structure. With the knight here, I'm partially kind of dissuaded from this because the knight can always capture, and now I'm kind of in it for I can't just sack a pawn, I also have to sack the exchange to open up his king. So queen C2 kind of emphasizes this idea that maybe I'm willing to sack the exchange because I'm getting so much firepower towards his king. But also this just really encourages myself to play E4. So he did this. And here I had a decision to make of which way to castle. I want my king in the center king out of the center before I play E4. And I decided to castle queenside. I have a lot of pieces here. So that way I can play H4 with a rook behind it. Or castle and kind of forego playing H4. And even in the video, you can see that I'm debating between these two, but I decided to go for queenside castling. The computer doesn't like that. I went from it being equal to him having a 0.6 advantage, so I kind of gave him the advantage here. And the reason is because he has tools at his disposal to open up my king, now that it's on the queen side. This is one of the bigger issues that I had in the game. I just didn't see. So I thought the threat was knight to here, forking the queen and the pawn. It turns out the queen can move where it wants to. The queen would really be on E2, which also helps E4, but gets it closer to the king side for the attack. But the knight's actually defending this pawn, so that's not really a fork that's worth anything. Also, I can just play A3 to kick it out. So I reacted strongly because I didn't want to get forked. So I played knight captures D5. And the computer says I definitely should just play H4 there. If I had seen that this wasn't a threat, I would have played H4. I really wanted to. And here, I was looking at, that's probably his plan. And so I don't want that to be a thing. So I brought my king over. The computer at first said queen C6, but then I let it run for a longer time, and it said queen to E2 was better. So I'm not sure about this. Bishop captures B7. H4. Rook C8, and queen E2. All right, so we're both kind of getting what we want, right? I'm starting my kingside attack. He has his queenside in order finally. Remember, his pieces were all locked up here for a while. All right, and he continues with knight F6, which, further trying to dissuade H5. And I played rook D to G1. Now, I really knew that I wanted this knight on E5, and I talk about this even during the game. I just wasn't sure about it being there now, because I assumed this knight was coming here. And then he was going to play this to kick my knight out. But if he played this, that'd be really good for me. He's just weakening his kingside structure even more. So I played rook D to G1 to continue my efforts. I continue my efforts. A5. And here, I was debating between H5 or G5, H5. And the reason I was thinking is because I thought if I play H5, then he's just going to play G5. Now let's look at what happens. This isn't good for him, really. And the reason is because I can just come back And now that he's pushed all these pawns in front of his king, my pieces have a lot more room to deal with. It's kind of like I locked up this side, I'm fine with this side. Now we can start dealing with other problems that you have in your position. That's a weak pawn. That bishop's undefended. Your king side has, you know, huge holes in it. Where's this knight actually going to live? Okay, but instead, after g5, he had played f5. Now keep in mind, I've played these two pawn moves to break open the king side. That's why I put these pawns here and the rook's behind the pawns. So my next move is completely out of character with those previous moves. G captures f6. This move just kind of takes these first moves and kind of throws them away. Because now I only have one guy that's going to open up the king side. These rooks are where the king side counts, not the f pawn. Okay, he takes back. That's a huge blunder. Now I'm winning by 5. Because h5 just forces open the king side. If he tries to keep it closed, I can just take this. And after, let's say, knight takes, that's a pin, and we're gonna win the knight. And there's not a whole lot else. Like, he really doesn't want to let me take here. That's basically suicide. So he has to do that. But after bishop captures f6, I thought this bishop isn't doing anything. Let's get rid of this knight because it's kind of helping this side. Just totally misses the point. Now it goes from me winning by 5 to just a direct, just equal. Total draw. Terrible. Yeah, but my knight in the game. Again, this pawn is used as a battering ram, and I just put the brakes on the whole issue. I just like stopped my own attack. I had a free attack. My rooks are lined up with the king. This is like the dream position. I was just like, nah, I'm good. I just put a pawn in front. All right, rook to f8. So basically the lesson is if you have an attack, don't stop yourself from attacking. Just attack like you're supposed to. And rook g3. I was in the stream saying I really wanted to sacrifice. And I noticed these patterns and I thought that I could do it, especially because I have this move here, which is check if he ever leaves the light squares back here. I don't know how to explain rook g3. I don't know why I played that, or if I have no explanation. Yeah, and rook captures h7, just so you guys can see how that finishes. If he takes it, it's pretty bad. If I remember right, we play queen here. He doesn't want to go here. Oh, computer does recommend here. Check. And if you block, there's queen h6. King comes over. Check again. King goes to e8. In the line that I had analyzed, my rook gets to the back rank, and I have my rook in here as well, but I can't remember how that works. That's a pretty good move. Anyway, there's a lot of checks where you just pick up all this material as well. But you can see that black's very uncomfortable, and my king's quite safe, quite fine over here. So yeah, rook g3 just doesn't make any sense. Queen c7. I played rook c1. I traded a pair of rooks. I just thought, why would I be unsafe when I can be safe? And here I played rook to g2. The idea was I wanted to defend this pawn, and I really just wanted to scoot everything over and try to do this. Obviously, he has ample defensive resources, but never mind that. Okay, rook queen g3 is good. It also has the threat of going here as well, which I liked. And he blundered a rook, and that was the game. So a few games have gone like this where we're playing, it's good or it's bad. In this case, it was the latter. And then one of us just blunders and the game's over. I don't know what thought process he was going through playing this move. Maybe it was a misclick or something. Probably, if I had to guess, he was trying to play this move, kicking my queen out. But then queen b8 seems pretty strong. Blocking with the queen is what I initially thought. Then I take the bishop. You can't block with the bishop, so if you try to run with your king, d5, I assume. Yeah, d5. And after e5, I can just take it. And your king's running out of air. It gets pretty bad. His king just has no squares, so you have to keep blocking with stuff. After rook takes, not that. Let's stick with the pawn. Queen f6. Now queen captures b7. The king has to leave the back rank, and we take. Not stalemate because he has pawns, but pretty close. So yeah, so I was happy that I found at least this move that has some idea. That's a little bit difficult to defend against, but overall it's just a draw in this position. And then he gave away a rook for nothing. So hopefully we'll get better moving forward. I want to try to diagnose why the errors came about. So this one, it was just, I had the wrong plan generally. I was trying to be a little bit too ambitious maybe. Also, if I was going to castle queenside, maybe it would have been better if I had taken, just so he couldn't open my structure up. The next mistake was knight captures d5. I thought he had a threat that he didn't have, so I need to analyze my defensive capacities as well. The next mistake that I made was rook d to g1. This square is begging for the knight, and this one is dual purpose, right? It brings my knight out, and it lets the f-pawn move, so I can have more attackers in the fight. This move just brings the rook that was otherwise centralized, and while it does bring it in line with the king, it's only one move. It's only one purpose. So trying to be more efficient with my movement. G5 was just unnecessary. I don't know why rook c1's good, other than to just trade off a pair of heavy pieces. That one's a little bit difficult to explain. After f5, what is the purpose of these pawns? Why did I move them here in the first place? To break open the king side. So I gotta not lose sight of that and just do that anyway. And the rest of this is just nonsense. So there was the game. Actually, in the video, there's two games. There's a first game that ended up in a draw because he had to leave. So there's a bonus thing there. I'm not gonna look that up because we only played a little bit. It was a Smith-Morra. I might make a video on the Smith-Morra, like a separate video altogether, because I want to understand it better and be able to not like just lose against it. Because up till now I've just been playing the Siberian, which works against like 1 in 3 people. So I'd rather have a more, I want to be able to play the Siberian trap if it works, but I want to also not be dubious in doing so. Yeah, I've been able to successfully win with it twice. And then once he defended against it, but then he defended against it in a poor way. I took advantage of that and the game was over. Yeah, so that's been this. You can see this graph is pretty fine in the opening. We're not playing too poorly. That was up until let's see. That was up until this position. So everything was pretty normal. This is actually a pretty fine position. And I decided instead of just letting it be a normal position and castling, I became over enticed by the fianchetto structure and kind of ruined it for myself. And then in the end, it was just kind of mayhem. So that's been Turkish Films Daily Chess Analysis Episode 5. Kind of a strange game. In terms of how instructive it is, pretty much it's basically just seeing tactics and just looking ahead and making more sensible moves. Like the moves that I'm making weren't completely nonsensical. They just weren't the right plan, or they weren't the right execution, or didn't have the right priorities. So tweaking those things, like it's a lot easier, I think, to go from one, like playing, I don't know, the Sicilian to playing the Caro-Kann, which is like totally different. To do a huge shift like that, than to just shift like a little bit, because I have to like unlearn things, right? So in this case, I saw the fianchetto structure and thought, oh, hey, h4, h5, and just kind of put that above everything else, and decided to castle queenside, a clearly more unsafe part of the board than the king side. So I just kind of let those things get a little bit, out of balance. And then when it comes to the ending, just not making very straightforward, very sensible moves. I played h4, g4 to break open the king side, so I should break open the king side. And then knight e5 is just a move that should have been played immediately because it's so natural. But I get kind of wary of natural moves because I don't want to play the natural move and then have it be wrong. I'd rather think about a move and then make it. So it's kind of an over-resistance to natural moves that led to some of these mistakes, like rook hg1. All right. There's that. Thanks for watching. Stay Turkish.